Joy Guru, I'm Amalendu Chatterjee, as some of you possibly know me, and I used to discuss spiritual or religious matter as far as my little knowledge goes. Do subscribe to this channel of mine, namely Anukul Kotha, if you like my content and deliberation. Today, I would like to discuss about the role of ego or pride or vanity in spiritual life. At the outset, I must say that whatever I would like to tell you in this regard is solidly based upon the life philosophy, teaching, preaching, and motto of Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. And whatever little I have understood, again, though I have taken recourse to other spiritual scriptures, namely Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, etc. But let me clarify why I have taken this recourse of making video in English version. There are two reasons. Number one, that some of the non-Bengali speaking people, they told me to make video, and if it is not possible to make video on each and every line of the holy book, namely Satyanusaran, written by Sri Thakur Anukul, then at least you make a video whose content would be the gist of each and every chapter. This is one reason. The other reason is that whatever little aptitude that I have in English, why don't I employ my little knowledge in English to spread the preaching, the teaching, the message of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, not only to non-Bengali speaking people of my country, but also of abroad. It is my pious duty, and I would like to employ whatever little learning that I have, or whatever aptitude, whatever efficiency that I have, little efficiency in English. Now, today, as I have already stated, that whatever I would like to tell about this particular subject, namely the role of ego or pride or vanity in spiritual life, is definitely based upon the teaching, preaching, message, and writings of Sri Thakur Anukul. As you all know, that he has stated very many things regarding religious matter, regarding spiritual matter, and those have been written in conversational books, namely Alochana Prashange, Diporokhi, and Nana Prashange, and there are several others. Where from I have got the material. Now, uh, at the outset, I must say the role of ego or pride or vanity, whatever name you may give, is out and out negative. Negative. It plays negative role in the spiritual life. Not only in spiritual life, but also in the day-to-day life, I would like to say. We people do not understand, we do not always understand or feel that pride or vanity may ruin me in the long run. Anyway, let me tell you what Sister Thakur Ankuchanda stated regarding ego, or you can say pride, vanity, or whatever name you may give. Now, this chapter is entitled as Self and Ego. Self, there are not much differences between self and ego, very little differences. But then self means which is related with me, with this body, with this mind, etc. Ego is also ego, or rather, ego actually springs up from the mind. That is also related to myself. But then there are subtle differences between ego and self. Anyway, the first thing that is the first now the question is, what is ego, or what should be the definition of ego? This is the first step. Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra has defined ego like this. He has stated that that which, being opposed by something, wants to establish itself is self. This is the definition of self or ego. I haven't find anywhere such definition. In my opinion, this is the most apt definition of ego or self. That is, let me tell it again. That which, being opposed by something, wants to establish itself is self. This is ego. In fact, possibly you have also seen that we always want to establish ourselves. We always want to advertise ourselves. This has been our inner hankering, I would like to say. Maybe we do not know it in conscious state. It may have been hidden in the subconscious state. But somehow or another, most of us like to establish ourselves, like to advertise ourselves, like to say that how much we know, how much do we know, and how much, what kind of persons that we are. You must rate us uh, very high, like that and this. Now, the second thing that Sri Thakur Ankuchandra stated, that to make the ego stiff is not to know others. To make the ego stiff is not to know others. And he has also stated, the more rigid the ego, the greater the ignorance. The lighter the pride, the brighter the knowledge. Now, as Sri Raghunakuchandra stated, that to make ego stiff is not to know others. Now, let me explain it by giving a real life example of Sri Thakur Ankuchandra. Once a little kid came to Sri Thakur and he actually caught a kind of insect, possibly light insect, and then he showed it to Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. And Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra actually was seeing this insect with rapt attention. And that particular little boy, he went on telling about the nature of this particular insect, about the characteristic features of this particular insect, and also the food habits like that and this. Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra had listened his lecture, this kid's lecture, with rapt attention, as if he was listening the talk of God. This was the impression that we have known it. Actually, we have known it from the Alochana Prasange, that is the conversational book, the scribe of which is Prafulla Kumar Das. Courtesy to him that we have come to know this particular little incident. Now, what does this little incident mean? This is the question, $1 million question. Because after all, this is the little kid, and he is telling something about this insect, most of which may not be true, maybe half truths. But then Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra was listening as if he was listening the talk of God or something, some spiritual discourses. Why? Because Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra had no ego, had no pride, had no vanity. This was precisely the reason why he was listening the lecture of this particular kid with rapt attention. And this is actually a teaching for us. This is actually a learning for us. We people also should listen whatever even a little kid may have to say, because it may so happen that I may not know a particular piece of information that this little kid may know. So that is the reason why Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra is stating this particular statement, that is, the to make the ego stiff is not to know others. You know, our inner nature as we all know, is Satchidananda. That means Sat, that is existence, Chit, that is consciousness, and bliss, that is Anand. This consciousness, that means, in fact, we have an inner hunkering to know knowledge, to know wisdom, because my nature is wise, my nature is conscious. That's the reason why we have so much hunkering about knowledge. And this is as clear as water. We people also can understand. For example, you know, once upon a time, there was telephone, as you all know, through which we make conversation with each other. Still, in some parts of the country, and also to some people, telephone is in vogue. But nowadays, people wanted to make it more advanced, and that is precisely the reason why people have discovered mobile phone, which doesn't need any you know any wire or like that in this. That is wireless, wireless. It's all right, but just stop here. But no, there is no stopping. Now he's thinking that is it possible to see the picture of other people to whom a person is talking? And as you all know, that Android phone has been discovered. But the question is, why people do not stop? Why people do not stop? Why people are always hunkering for furtherance, for more knowledge and for more knowledge, because his inner nature is consciousness. He is wise. He is the most wise one. As Vivekananda stated, that education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. So perfection is the inner nature of each and every person. So every people, every person, I would like to say, every person wants to know. But then if you make your ego stiff, that you cannot know. So therefore, this, I would like to say, petty incident teaches us that we must not be arrogant. We must not be, we must not make our ego stiff. Even a little kid has something to offer that we must take with both hands. Then only we can gain knowledge. This is precisely the reason why Sri Thakur Ankulchandra stated this. That is, to make the ego stiff is not to know others. Now, you may argue, is it all necessary to know others? Yes, it is. Because after all, we have come in this world. We must know, who am I? And what this particular jagat, that is particular universe is. And whether there is there is an owner, I would like to say. There is one owner. There is an owner, one, you can say, owner of this particular universe. This is also a question. It should be known, and it must be known. Even if this universe has no owner, that also we need to learn. We need to learn. If you do not learn in this particular lifetime, then you will have to learn, and you will have to take births after births, because you have perfection. And education, as Vivekananda stated, is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Why? That means that is our inner nature. Inner nature of everybody is Satchidanand. So therefore, how can he turn back from knowledge, from wisdom? It is simply impossible. So now, Sri Raghuram stated that the more rigid the ego, the greater the ignorance. As I have already stated. If, for example, in this case, Sri Thakur Ankulchandra did not listen the lecture of this particular kid, then it might be that Sri Thakur Ankulchandra, though he knew everything under the sun, above the sun, beside the sun, that's other issue. But it is his actually teaching. It was his teaching to us that something to be known, even from this particular little kid. And that is only possible if you are egoless, if you if you can keep yourself from the clutches of uh, ego, if you can keep uh, outside from the clutches of ego or pride or vanity, whatever you may call. Now just see what is the, you can say, consequence. What is the consequence of this ego? Sister Akunkuchanda stated like this. You will be surprised to know. Really, it is surprising to know what is the end result. What is the consequence of this ego? Sister Akunkuchanda stated that from obsessed ego comes addiction. From addiction comes ignorance, and ignorance is misery. And thereafter, he is telling like this: obsessed ego, kindly listen, obsessed ego brings forth addiction. Addiction breeds selfish interest. Selfish interest gives birth to passion. Passion is the source of anger, and the anger begets violence. This is the matter. Now, uh, now the question is, it has got similarity with the talkings of Lord Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has, has told something like this. That is, let me tell it. You will get it in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the 62nd sloka, where Lord Krishna is telling to Arjun, that is, Dhayato Vishayan Pungsha Sangastesu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Abhijayate. It means that when a person dwells on object, then gradually attachment comes. That is a kind of attachment. That is sango, asango. It means attachment. Dhyayato vishayan pungsha. When a person dwells on object, then gradually attachment comes. And from attachment, sangat sanjayate kamo. From attachment, uh, you can say, from attachment, you know, arises uh, hunkering. That is calm, hunkering. And when hunkering is being obstacled, is being hindered by something, then anger brings out. Now, the question is, what Sister Thakur Anukul stated. Sister Thakur Anukul stated that obsessed ego brings forth addiction. But Lord Krishna is stating that when a person dwells on object, then gradually attachment comes. Now, after all, you can say addiction or attachment, whatever. And then Lord Krishna is stating that from attachment comes hankering. Comes hankering. It is my understanding that Sister Thakur Anukulchanda stated that why hankering has come. The reason being being the selfish interest. As a matter of fact, I have understood the meaning of Bhagavad Gita from the teaching or preaching or from the motto of Sri Thakur Anukulchanda. For example, here Sri Thakur Anukulchanda stated that addiction breeds selfish interest. The question naturally arises that why from attachment hankering comes, isn't it? This is a simple question. As I think the Sri Thakur Anukulchanda has given the answer. He has stated that is from obsessed ego, or you can say, yes, addiction or attachment breeds selfish interest. Selfish interest. So this selfish interest is the intermediate point, as I have understood. between attachment and hunkering. In my opinion, that is being implied in Bhagavad Gita. It is my opinion. I may be wrong. But then Sister Thakur Unkulchanda stated that addiction breeds selfish interest. So this selfish interest, so just see, from obsessed ego, ultimately it gives birth to selfish interest. And from selfish interest, when selfish interest, I would like to say, this from selfish interest comes passion. There is calm. In other words, hunkering. And from passion, ultimately, when passion is being obstacled, when passion is being opposed by something, then anger comes, or anger brings up. Now the next sloka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is stating like this: Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramo smriti भ्रंशत buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Let me tell it again. Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramo smriti भ्रंशत buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Now, the meaning is that from anger follows, delusion. And from delusion, you see, actually, loss of, you can say, failure of memory comes. From delusion, failure of memory comes. And from failure of memory, loss of understanding comes. And from loss of understanding, he perishes. So ultimately, ruin. And Sri Thakur Unkulchanda stated that so ultimately, and then Sri Thakur Unkulchanda stated that passion is the source of anger, and anger begets violence. Just see. The question naturally arises: why? As Lord Krishna stated, that what is the reason behind ruin? He has stated that from anger, delusion comes, and delusion follows loss of, or you can say, failure of memory. And from failure of memory comes loss of understanding. And from loss of understanding, ultimately a person perishes. So ruin is from loss of understanding. Or you can say the series is, if I say the entire series as stated by Lord Krishna, that is when a person dwells on object. From then, attachment. And from attachment, hunkering. And from hunkering, anger. And from anger, delusion. From delusion, failure of memory. And from failure of memory, loss of understanding. And from loss of understanding, ruin or perishes, death, you can say. Now, Sister Thakur Uncle Chandru, the sequence, or you can say the sequence of Sister Thakur Uncle Chandru is simply this: there is obsessed ego, and then addiction. It brings addiction, and addiction brings selfish interest. So there is selfish interest. Now, from selfish interest, if it is opposed, then it gives birth to anger, and from anger, comes violence. This is really novel. This is really something unheard of, because violence, I don't think that this violence is not scripted or is not written in Bhagavad Gita. But then it is my understanding, purely my understanding, that maybe violence is the reason for this particular, ruin. In this case, I would like to, or you can say, just to substantiate or just to vindicate this statement of Sri Thakur Uncle Chandru, that ultimately from anger comes violence, and violence is the reason for ruin. I would like to cite an example from Mahabharata. Duryodhan is the very epitome, is the very symbol of evil, is the very symbol of sin, is the very symbol of, you can say, violence. Now, a person, a devotee of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandru, actually asked this question to Sri Thakur Anukul Chandru, that is, why After all, just to establish religion, Lord Krishna had to resort to Kurukshetra battle. After all, he could not establish religion without making or without making this battle of Kurukshetra. And it is also a fact that very many people, or you can say the lives of very many people, lost during the battle of Kurukshetra. So therefore, without losing so many lives, even Lord Krishna could not establish religion once again. Now, Sister Thakur Anukul Chandra gave a peculiar answer. And in my opinion, that is that is an answer to be pondered of. Because Sister Thakur Anukul Chandra stated, yes, it is true that very many lives were lost during the battle of Kurukshetra. But at the same time, if the battle of Kurukshetra would not have been happened, then not even a single life would have been survived. This is precisely the answer of Sister Thakur Anukul Chandra. And it is so. Then why? The question is why? Because let's say that after all, Pandavas, let's say they have agreed to even to the you can say to the proposal of proposal of Duryodhan that they would not take anything, not even a village from him, and they would remain as beggars. Let's say like this. So then definitely the Duryodhan, he was the king, and he would rule the entire kingdom. But then, even then, since Duryodhan is the very epitome, is the very symbol of sin, is the very symbol of evil, is the very symbol of anger, then ultimately violence definitely definitely would come. And because of the violence, even they would fight among their own brothers. And the ultimate result would have been that not even a single life would have been survived had the battle of Kurukshetra had not been taken place. This is the answer of Lord Sister Thakur. And it is. So therefore, this term violence, just see, what is the consequence of ego? Ego ultimately brings violence. This is a serious consequence. So just see, what is the serious consequence of ego? So we must be very careful, isn't it? Now, but the trouble is that it is very difficult to give up ego. As Lord Ramakrishna Deva stated, that just see, ego is just like the branchlets of a fig tree. Even if you cut down the branchlets mercilessly, even then, after a few days, you see, branchlet would again spring up. So therefore, this is the statement of Lord Ramakrishna Dev. Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra stated almost the same thing. He has stated, according to his own words, though he had written in Bengali language. You see, this is just a translation. He has written, as long as body lasts, individuality also will last. So long as modes of mind remain, the ego persists. So long as modes of mind remain, the ego persists. So, the same thing. As Lord Ramakrishna Deva stated, that ego is just like the branchlets of fig tree or people tree, And the characteristic feature of these branchlets is that even if you cut them mercilessly, they would spring up within a very few period of time. Now, same is the case, as Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra stated, that as long as body lasts, ego would also last. And so long as modes of mind remain, ego persists. Just see, it is very difficult to give up ego. As a matter of fact, as long as I have body, it is simply impossible to eradicate ego. In this connection, I would like to say something from Upanishad. That is, You see, if I ask you, who are you? In fact, who am I? This is the fundamental question in the spiritual life. You can say the first and foremost question in the spiritual life: who am I? Am I simply the body? No, it is not. Besides this body, there are certain layers, there are certain cells. Now, this we see we get it from Upanishad, Tattariya Upanishad. Bhrigu, he is the son of Borun. Borun is the wise person. He was the wise person, and Bhrigu, his son, one day he went to his father and wanted to know about the nature of Brahman. Then, you see, Father Baruns told him to go and do ascetic practices and to learn Brahman. And accordingly, Bhrigu went on practicing ascetic practices. That is, he actually meditated upon this particular subject, that is Brahman, and ultimately he realized that this body is the Brahman. Body is no, it in Upanishad the term is Annamaya Kosha. Anna means rice, you can say. It as it is composed of carbohydrate. Again, this carbohydrate is composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. That means matters. So body is something which is composed of matters. Ultimately, you see, actually, Bhrigu came to realize that Brahman is this body, and he came and he told this particular statement, that is Annam Brahmeti Vajanat Annadhyabbo Bhukhal Vimani Bhutani Jayante Anneno Jatani Jivanti Annang Prayanto Vishang Vishantiti Tad Viggaya. Just see, Borun has stated, yes, well, it is true. It's not that, you see, body has its own value. Definitely, body is also Brahman. After all, body, mind, intellect, everything, or soul, everything are interconnected and interrelated. No one is inseparable, remember. So therefore, body is definitely Brahman. Brahman. But then, Borun has told him, but still go on meditating, on Brahman. You will soon see that it is not only the body that is Brahman. Besides that, there are certain layers. And then again, Bhrigu went on meditating on this, and ultimately he realized the vital body. There is a vital body within the body, which is actually the Brahman. you know when a person dies, what happens actually? His vital body leaves his body, as we popularly say, prana, pranomaya course. This is what is known as pranomaya course. Actually, people used to say that when a person dies, nothing is left besides the body. Yes, it is. But then, and people also used to say that, you see, spirit is lost. No, since spirit is lost, this particular body, a person dies. This is not the case. Say only the vital body, because of the absence of vital body, because the vital body lives this particular body. That's why this body is not living. So vital body is a separate entity, and that is what is known as pranamaya kosha. But then, besides pranamaya kosha, besides vital body, there are others. There are other layers. But then now Bhrigu has come to realize that this pran is the Brahman, and he you see, went to his father and said, Prano Brahmeti Vajanat Pranadhyabba Khal Bimani Bhutani Jayante Praneno Jatani Jivanti Pranang Prayanta Vishanti Tad Viggaya. You just see. And Borun was pleased and said, well, carry on. Still go on meditating and see what happens. And then, accordingly, Borun again went on meditating on this particular Brahman, and ultimately, and then he realized that no, not only the body, that is Annamaya course, not only the vital body, but mind. Besides these two layers, there is another layer which is called mind. Mind is the Brahman. And then he came and said, Mono Brahmeti Vajanat मनसो हेब्बो खल्बिमानि भूतानि जायन्ते मनसा जातानि जीवन्ति मनः प्रन्तभिसंविशन्तीति तद्विज्ञाय. And Borun was very much pleased and said, "Well, well done, my boy. But still, you must have to carry on your research." And then Borun, accordingly, actually went on researching on this particular subject. And then he realized that not only the mind, there is another layer which is called buddhi, or you can say Biggan, which is called Bigganomaya Kosh. And then he again came and said, Bigganam Brahmeti Vajanat Bigganadhyabbo Khal Bimani Bhutani Jayante Bigganena Jatani Jivanti Bigganam Pranta Vishang Vishantiti Tad Biggaya. Then Borun was glad to understand that this boy is improving so well. He's progressing so fastly. So that then he said, "Well, still something is left. We just go on and research." And accordingly, Brigu went on researching, and ultimately he came to realize, no, there is another layer, possibly the ultimate layer, which is called Anandamaya Kos. And he came with all delightfulness, you see, with all blissfulness, and he came and he said, Anando Brahmeti Bhajanat Anandadhyabba Kalbimani Bhutani Jayante Anandeno Jatani Jivanti Anandam Pranto Visantiti, like this. So this is the matter we have come to know from Taittiriya Upanishad. So this is also a factor. Now, as I've already stated, as Sri Thakur Kulchand stated, that as long as body lasts, you know, ego also persists. And so long as modes of mind remain, ego persists. This is individuality always persists. So now there are several kinds of egos. There are several kinds of prides or vanities. For example, there are some people who I would like to categorize them as very gross people. Some people are there who boast about their physical strength. They say, we are strong people, but they do not know what is the source of their strength. Here I would like to say that, in Bhagavad Gita, as you all know, that is, I think in the seventh chapter, I come it later on. And then, yes, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling like this. That is in the seventh chapter. Yes, I am correct. In the seventh chapter, in the 11th sloka, number 11th sloka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna is telling, Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatar sabho. He is telling like this, that of the strong, you see, I am their strength, which is devoid of passion and attachment. So therefore, that a person is boasting about his physical strength, he does not know that the source of his strength is from the God, is from the Almighty. That he is boasting as his own is not actually his own. It has its own owner. God is the owner of his strength. But then there are people who boast about their physical strength. A person came to me and said, "What is your age?" I told him, "Well, I am, almost 70 years old." And he said, "Can you guess about my age?" I said, I knew that he would be even 5 to 6 years older than me. But then, just to appease him, I would like to say, I said, "Well, you look just 50 years older, like that." He actually smiled, or rather green. He actually, I would like to say, he grinned. He smiled. He did not smile, but he did grin and said, "Yes, people say like this, but do you know, I'm 75 years old. But just see, not even a single hair turns you see, turns gray. I said, yes. Just see, it is his pride regarding his body. Just see, just just see. If you see, you see, if you keenly observe the talkings of people, you will get. I would like to say, you will get amusements. But then there are some people who who are not even physically strong, but they boast about their vital body. There are people who are so living more than others. That is, their vital body is really strong. But again, this the owner of the vital body is not that person who is actually boasting. Again, the owner is the Lord. Now, the vital body is composed of matters, but something which I do not know, something more than matter, some maybe very fine matter about which we do not know. At least I do not know. But then there are some people who boast about their mental power. Mental power. You see, they used to say, see, I am mentally very tough. You need to be rough and tough. I'm mentally very tough people. And I have seen people who are very slim, I would like to say, who are like very lean and thin, but they have really very strong minds. That's for sure. And they boast about their mental power. But again, they do not know that the owner of this particular mental power is not they. Actually, uh, the God Himself. God is the power, as Lord Krishna stated in the number 11th sloka of 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where he has stated, Balam 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 Balavatam Chaham Kama Rago Vivarjitam. That is of this strong, uh, I am the strength which is devoid of passion and attachment. But in case of us, this strength is not divided, is rather intrinsically attached with passion and attachment. This is the difference. Now again, there are some people who boast about their intellect, and possibly this intellect is the worst kind of ego, is the worst kind of pride, is the worst kind of vanity. I can tell you. you know in this case, I would like to say that I have seen, we used to take lessons, spiritual lessons, from a spiritual organization, where our teacher, he was a very wise person, he was a professor of physics, and a person who was also a professor of physics. He wrote a book on a particular subject of physics, and he gave that particular book to our teacher to make a comment, actually. And our teacher was pleased to say that, yes, I would like to make a comment after reading your book. And after going through his book, he actually made a comment, actually good comment, actually. But then that person, when he came, he gradually came, and we were actually the witnesses, we can say, you see. And that person came with all humility and said, have you gone through have you gone through my book? And that particular teacher said to us, yes, not to, said to him, yes, I have gone through your book. But then it is a worst quality, it's a very inferior quality, it's a very inferior quality. A person like you, I really wonder, you see, how person like you have written such rubbish book. That person, he had no, you see, bodily ego, or he had no ego upon his vital body or upon his mental power, but he had pride, he had vanity, he had, you see, ego upon his intellect. And then he said, just say, in order to criticize a book, you need to rise a particular level. Only then you can criticize. Give me my book. I do not need your comment. Like this. Being, you see. And then that particular teacher of ours, he said, yeah, no, no, no. Actually, I was just joking. I was making jokes with you. No, no, no. You have written very nice, and I have already made a very nice comment for this particular book. And then, however, the situation turned otherwise. Anyway, but then just see the power of intellect is something which is very, very bad. And here, Sri Thakur Uncle stated, in fact, he has written that, you know, if you want to teach, think not you are a teacher only. I am a teacher. This teach conceit hinders one from learning. He has also stated that, you see, if you long for good, give up conceit of knowledge, listen to everyone, and do whatever helps to expand your heart. No other passion creates such a hindrance to knowledge as does conceit of knowledge. Just see the just see the sayings of Sri Raghunankuj. He has stated that conceit of knowledge is by far the, you see, is the worst kind of passion that creates the hindrance, hindrance of knowledge, or hindrance to knowledge. So let me tell it again, as Sri Raghunankuj stated, that if you long for good, give up conceit of knowledge. Listen to everyone and do whatever helps you to expand your heart. No other passion creates such a hindrance to knowledge as does conceit of knowledge. As I've already cited an example to show that how conceit of knowledge can damage a person. So in fact, it as Sri Thakur Uncle stated that the last consequence of ego is violence. That particular teacher was violent. You see, listening the harsh words of our teacher. So violence is the ultimate consequence. Can you imagine? But then it is also a fact that concept of knowledge, that is the pride of knowledge, is by far the worst one. You know, uh, but then I would like to cite another example. In fact, you can say my day to day, you can say my lifetime experience. I would like to say when I was a student of, I say when I was a student, then I used to I used to get lessons from the teachers of this institution, but then I had to take tuition from two teachers, namely one from mathematics teacher, another from physics teacher. You know, and see, the mathematics teacher, he was a Hindu teacher, and he was very sharp in his not only of his own subject, but also to very many other subjects also. In, for example, he used to solve problems of physics, he used to solve problems of chemistry, and not only that, he was very efficient in English also. But then the teacher of physics, he was a Muslim person. Though he was a good teacher, but not that sharp like that particular mathematics teacher. But then that mathematics teacher had conceit of knowledge. That is, the he had pride for his own knowledge, and we knew that. And in order to appease him, I used to tell him that, just see, this particular hard sum, you have solved it in almost no time. But then no other teachers can do it in such in such short period of time. He was glad. Not only glad, he was damn glad actually. And then said, he used to preach us, some revolutionary talks. He did not believe in the existence of God, or he was not interested in religion. On the other hand, he got angry when when he was rather forced to listen about religion or such and such. And but then that Muslim teacher of physics, he was a religious person. He did believe the existence of he actually not only the he was not the he was not only the follower of his own view, that is Mohammedan view. He was also the believer of Hindu view also. In this connection, I would like to say that we people make a quarrel between very many views. We say that our view is the best view. The other views have no consequence or no value. This is not. This is again is based on ego. This should not be. For example, in this case, I would like to say in conversational book, I would like to cite an example. A person named Kholilullah, possibly, yes, Kholilullah was there, who actually said, who was a follower of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, and he was a Muslim, but he was initiated by the holy name of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. And once he came to the ashram of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, and Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra instructed him to do meditation, and then to do meditation, and accordingly, Kholilda, he did meditation, and then after a few days, once Khalilullah came to Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra and started conversation, and then and suddenly Sri Thakur actually asked him, or rather, yes, he has asked him that, oh Khalilda, you see, uh, what is your experience regarding, yes, Khalilda, yes, what is your experience uh, of meditation? That is, what is your experience by practicing the holy name of mine? Have you heard the noise? Have you seen the light? Those are the experiences that have been scripted, that have been scripted in the Mustafa Charit, and also in Quran. Have you experienced such endowments? Then Kholilda said, yes, Thakur. You see, earlier I thought these are all cook and bull stories. But now I have realized that they are absolutely same. Absolutely same. See, Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, listening the words of Khalilda, Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra he was actually glad and said, it should be like this. But after all, this is science. The same feeling, the same realization. Even if you go in your view, there is in Mohammedan view or in Hindu view. But then you must know, but that the same endowments that every people can get. And Sri Thakur Kulchandra stated that every person, if he or she practices such, that is holy name, he would definitely experience the same endowments, namely the sounds, the lights, as others. Everybody has got the, because after all, it is science. And then Sister Guru goes, however, in order to know this, you need to be faithful, you need to be loyal to your prophet. But then, in order to know your prophet, you need to come to the present prophet. That is also a truth. Anyway, that's a separate issue altogether. What is important is that we people make quarrels issue in between different views. After all, there are prophets in almost each and every views, and they have realized the ultimate truth. So therefore, we people must not make quarrel between different views, and we should not make any mess regarding this. Anyway, and then Sister Thakur, yes, as I have told you, regarding the two teachers, physics teachers and my mathematics teacher. My mathematics teacher, as I've already stated, that he was not that sharp like the physics teacher, the Muslim teacher was not that sharp as the Hindu teacher, that is my mathematics teacher. But then he did not tolerate any talkings regarding religion, or you can say, spiritualism, like that. He said, you see, some foolish persons are there who actually have brought this particular god, or like that, and this, just to make their just to solve their unending problems. Or maybe there are some unscrupulous persons, see, for their own interest they have created the gods, or like that. You see, at that particular tender age, I would like to say, we were fascinated by the talkings of the mathematics teacher. But then, you see, since I took tuition from the physics teacher also, I used to place tough sums before him, which have already been solved by that particular mathematics teacher. And my intention was actually dirty. My intention was just to enjoy the uneasiness of that particular physics sir, because he was not that sharp to solve all the sums, particularly the top sums. But one day, I placed a tough sum before him, and as usually, he was he was actually tormenting. Yeah, not actually that. He felt uneasiness actually because he could not solve the top sum so easily. But then, at that point, and I was enjoying his uneasiness. At that point of time, a person on his bicycle, he was selling lychees, in a within a basket which was placed beside his or you can on his bicycle, and then abandoning the khata or abandoning the you see sum, that teacher immediately called that particular salesman, and he actually purchased one kg of lychee, and then he gave 4 to 5 lychees to me, and he actually went on went on eating the lychees. And when he ultimately he again actually he concentrated to solve the sum, and this time he could. And then he said, see, Chatterjee, my title is Chattopadhyay. Then people used to say me Chatterjee, and that particular physicist said, just see, Chatterjee, you know, uh, just see the attributes of lychee. I said, why? What is to do with the attributes of lychee here? Then that particular physicist said, just see, because I got pleasure, I have the ability to solve this problem, to solve this particular tough sum that you have presented before me. I did not like his particular word, but then still I kept silent. And then he then incidentally asked me, see, Chatterjee, can you answer me? Who has created lychee? I said, no. He said, your Kalachand Thakur, Kalachand Thakur is my, you can say, this is the deity, hmm, that is being established in my family, that was actually established. Uh, and then that particular teacher, he actually gone to visit my deity, and he actually ate the prasadam. But the physics teacher, since he did not believe in religion or spiritualism, he did not even for once attend my deity. But then this I said, see, you say that my Kalachand Thakur, that is Lord Krishna actually, has created lychee. Then that particular teacher said, well, you may say your Kalachand Thakur, Krishna Thakur, or I may say Allah, the same thing, no difference. Then I said, so what is there? See, how is it affected to solve this particular problem? After all, this is nothing but this is simply a kind of reasoning. So Psalm is nothing but reasoning. You need to reason. You need to reason each and every equation. See, where is the contribution of Lord Krishna, or for that matter, your Allah, in solving this problem? And then I said, my mathematics teacher doesn't say like this. Then physics teacher said, what does your mathematics teacher say? He used to say that no, you must know, you must give, your reverence, your respect to reasoning, not to God, not to any God. You see, man-made thing, and not only that, some unscrupulous persons or some foolish person. You see, both of them are equal according to the mathematics teacher. He said that he used to say that these are all harmful for the society. So therefore, you must not say anything regarding Lord Krishna or your Allah like that and this that they have created. If I at all need to adore someone, then I would definitely adore, I would definitely respect Einstein or Newton for that particular matter. Then that particular physics had said, well, may I know why do you respect Einstein or Newton? Then I said, well, after all, Newton has discovered this particular fundamental law of nature, this law of gravitation. This is the, you see, unique law of nature. And then my physics teacher said, and why do you adore Einstein? I said, well, he has discovered the, you see, phenomenal discovery, that is E equal to mc square, theory of relativity. Then physics teacher suddenly said something very novel, very surprising, very amazing. He said, well, that's fine. You do respect, you do adore Einstein or Newton because they have discovered, you see, some of the fundamental laws of nature. But have you given a thought regarding this? That if this nature, you may say this nature has created such laws. If such wonderful laws, if such wonderful is a phenomenal laws are operating in the nature, that you must bow down your head to nature at least. You may call it nature, you may call it Lord Krishna, or you may call it Allah. No difference. Even if you call it nature, then you will have to give more respect to nature than Newton and Einstein. Yes, you must give respect to Newton and Einstein. They are famous people, and they actually did wonders. Definitely, we must give credence. We must give reverence to them. We must give respect to them. But then the nature who has built up such wonderful laws, you must have to give credence to the law, to nature also. Whom do want to give more reverence? Whom do want to give more respect? I was at that point of time, I didn't like his statement. But at this particular mature age, I have come to realize that no, that physics teacher was right. Because physics teacher maybe was not sharp in mathematics or even to his own subject. Mathematics teacher was very sharp. His intellect was of very superior kind. But even then, I would like to say that particular Muslim teacher, physics teacher, had the wisdom. It's a great wisdom. That is, he had gone to this level to understand that this nature is more wonderful, is the best scientist of the whole universe. Or you can say is the best scientific. Then we know. Not that I'm demeaning Einstein or Newton for that matter. Yes, they are great. They are great persons, no doubt about it. Undoubtedly, they are great persons because not very many people can discover these fundamental laws. Definitely, they are respectful people, and we do respect them. But at the same time, we must bow down our heads to nature also. Who is the creator of such wonderful laws? So therefore, as now coming to this particular point, why that particular mathematics teacher did not want to know all these all these things? The reason possibly was the ego, was the pride, was the vanity, was the conceit of knowledge that mathematics teacher had, in my opinion, conceit of knowledge. But the physics teacher did not have this particular conceit of knowledge. He was a very simple person. Not that that mathematics teacher was bad. Not far from it. He was a very gentle person, and he was a very sympathetic person. He was a kind-hearted person. He gave tuition to very many students free actually. But then I must say that because of the presence of ego, because of the presence of the concept of knowledge, possibly that particular mathematics teacher, he was not enriched with this particular wisdom that the physics teacher said to me. Possibly this. Anyway, now coming to this, so as Sri Thakur Kulchandra stated like this, and not only that, if you have pride or vanity, then what harm would it bring in spiritual life? As Sri Thakur Kulchandra stated, that if I have pride, then as Sri Thakur Kulchandra stated, that just see. Uh, Regarding the Gyan Yoga, that is path of knowledge, Sri Thakur Chandra stated that be selfless, be egoless at first, then say he is I or I am he. That is Soham or Aham Brahmasmi. These are the terms associated with the path of knowledge. You see, Gyan Yoga, and then so Sister Thakur Chandra stated that you may say, he is I, or I am he, the absolute. But hold on to devotion. Then only that attitude will stand in you. Otherwise, you can achieve nothing. He also stated that first try to be free from vanity, then say he is I. Otherwise, the he is I may drag you down more. So therefore, this is the matter. Yes, it is true that in Bhagavad Gita also it speaks about the non-duality. That is Advaita Vedanta. It speaks about that only one consciousness is the reality. Everything is, you can say, Maya. Once a person asked Lord Ramakrishna Dev that you please tell the essence of religion in almost one sentence. He told it like this, that Brahman is the reality, and this world is unreal. And when Sri Thakur Anukul was asked the same question, he said, "Well, the Brahman is the unchanging truth, while this Jagat, that is world, is changing truth." But anyway, the thing is simply this, that yes, it is true that God may remain both in immanent form as well as in transcendental form. But first, you need to take him as immanent form, because after all, we are not formless. Lord Ramakrishna Dev used to ask this particular question to his devotees off and on: do you believe, in which form of God do you believe in? In formed God or in formless God? Those people who were so-called intelligent people, they used to say that we believe in formless God. For example, Sri Mo, the scribe of Ramakrishna Kathamritu, he used to say, when he was asked this particular question by Ramakrishna Dev, Lord Ramakrishna Dev, then Sri Mo answered that I like formless God. Then Ramakrishna Dev said, well, it is good that you believe in one form, but then you must not think that he cannot take shape, because he is the Almighty. He is formed, he can take immanent form, he can be transcendental, and he is more than that. And it is so. So therefore, that the he is I, that is the Soham, or I am he, I am that Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. These are the terms associated with the path of knowledge, that is Gyan Yoga. But Sri Thakur Chandra stated that Gyan Yoga may be mathematically possible, but practically almost impossible unless and until you have developed devotion. You need to be devoted at first. You need to bow down your head before the Almighty. Then only you can realize this particular Advaita Vedanta. That is the one consciousness reality. Yes, it is. That he is present everywhere. God is omnipresent. Not that he is present only in a limited form, but then he can also remain in a limited form also. That is, as Sri Thakur Chandra stated, that finite is the expression of infinite. So this is another truth. But what happens actually? Those people who actually pursue the path of knowledge, in some way or another, they I would like to say, a kind of pride, a kind of vanity gradually develops within them. This is very peculiar. As a matter of fact, yes, this is a very $1 million question, whether vanity has its own existence or not. This is the $1,000,000 question. The answer is no. Sri Anukul Kotha stated no. Vanity has no identity of its own. We people create vanity. So therefore, this is the derivative of our mind, of our intellect. You see, intellect is the, you can say, the fine, fine mind. You can say subtle mind is the intellect. So you see, vanity or pride, these are the offsprings. These are the branchlets from mind or intellect. So actually, vanity or pride has no identity of their own. Of their own. We people create it. So therefore, you see, we need to be devoted at first. We need to bow down at first. Only then we can control our vanity. So therefore, you see, I've already come to my concluding part. I've already discussed about the role of vanity. What is vanity? What vanity is? What is the definition of vanity? What is the how vanity actually ruins our sadhana, our everything, and even you see, but then these are the problems. The solution, as Sister Uncle Chandra has also given the solution how to solve or how to eradicate, how to remove vanity from us. The You see, the simplest way is that you need to take the path of devotion. That you must be devoted. You must bow down your head before the Almighty. And in order to do that, you must bow down your head to your teacher at first, to your parents at first. First of all, you must bow down your head to your parents, to your seniors, and ultimately to your teachers. Then only by practicing such practice, you can gradually understand the Almighty in transcendental form. First in immanent form, and then in transcendental form. Not that one consciousness is the reality is false. Definitely, it is a truth. You can say the ultimate truth. But then, in order to understand this, in order to realize this truth, you need to be, you need to be devoted. You need to be humble, because sincere humility, other than sincere humility, you cannot punish vanity. You cannot punish pride. So, in order to pursue the spiritual pathway, in order to uh, go or pursue in the religious pathway, you need to remove your pride, your vanity as much as you can. It is definitely not possible to vanish, see, all the vanities or all the prides, but then whatever, at least you must try your level best to cut down, to reduce, to minimize your vanity, your pride, your as much as you can. Then only you can prosper in spiritual life. This is the, you can say, this is the message that I've learned from my master Sisi Thakur Unkuchal. And not only that, he himself has shown us throughout his life how to be humble. You see, he used to bow down. He used to bow down to each and every person, even to a kid, because he did not see a kid like a kid. He saw him as Nitya Suddha Buddha Mukta Atma, because he is the eternal. Nitya Buddha means enlightened, pure, and pure means Suddha, and Mukta means free. It does not matter about his, you see, it is irrelevant to see or to judge his age or his form or his anything. After all, he saw every person as eternal, enlightened, free, and pure Atman. That is pure consciousness. But then he, not only that the prarthana, that is prayer, that he has recommended for us, that is also full of, the prayer has so many, pranams, that is prostration and humility. And in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna stated, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevoya upodakshanti te jnanam jnanina tattadarshibhi. Know that. That is, know that knowledge. Through prostration, that is, to pranam, and then inquiry and service. The wise ones who have realized the truth will impart knowledge to you. This is the meaning of this particular sloka. So, be humble at first. Then only you can enter into the kingdom of religion or kingdom of spiritualism, spirituality. So, live in love, joy guru. Do comment so that I can understand my loopholes or my limitations. Or even I would be enriched by your suggestions and comments. Once again, you see, joy guru to all of you.